Hey, it's Llama here. Welcome to Preparing for Ark Survival Ascended. In this series I started out fresh on the island on official PVE. This is Ark Survival Evolved, but I'm limited to only items and creatures available in the base game on the island to give a realistic perspective on what starting out on Ark Survival Ascended might be like. In today's video, we're going to look at setting up an egg hatchery the old-fashioned way, as Ascended will launch without incubators. Then we can start getting some babies going. Now, for those of you who've been watching, I haven't skipped ahead to Rex breeding in this series. This intro was recorded on another server I play on. Alright, let's get started, shall we? So let's start off with a quick update on what's been happening around the base. Made a few changes since the last video. So we've had a bit of a rearrange. We've got our kibble room over there. We have a fabricator which we've moved across to there. We've got industrial grill. We have some refrigerators, which means we've got electricity. We've got this funny looking room in here, and we'll talk a little bit about that later on. And then here we've got some dinosaur storage area, because I was standing on top of everything. So that's that. And then in this little room here we have our generator, which is providing our power, little bed, and some storage, just to keep all my stuff in. So on to today, and we are going to create an egg hatchery. Now, in order to do that, we need to learn the air conditioner. And now we've got all our power set up, we can use air conditioners to hatch our eggs, or to incubate our eggs, I should say. Let's have a look here. Here we go, level 61 you've got to be. Easy. Right. And while we're here, we just hit level 80. So I'm going to unlock the industrial forge, and we'll craft one of those later as well. Alright, let's craft up some air conditioners. What do we need? Crystal, electronics, metal and polymer. We've got plenty of those. So we're going to craft ourselves some up, and then we'll start setting up the hatchery. Okay, now this mysterious room that we had, this is where we're setting up our air conditioners. So we've got 14 air conditioners. We're going to line them along either side of this trench area, which is open and doesn't have foundations placed on it. Pop the first one down. There we go. You can see the cable. Oh, that's facing the wrong way. Let's pick that up. So we're going to always put them the wrong way around. We'll do this side facing that way. It doesn't really matter which way round they go, but for aesthetics I like the condensation, or whatever it is, going inwards. So I'm going to place these facing towards the trench all the way along as far as we can, and then we're going to do the same on the other side. Now, why do I have the section there with no foundations in the middle? Well, it's quite simple. With the air conditioners, so you know, with an incubator you can just leave eggs in there, and then when they're finished you can go and hatch them at your leisure. Well, with air conditioners the egg will hatch whether you're there or not, and so really you have to set a timer, make sure that you're around when the egg hatches, or at least near base, so that you can make it back fairly quickly before the baby starves. If you are outside of render distance when the egg hatches, then often the baby will sink into the foundation, and then you have to destroy the foundation to get it back, or sometimes you just can't get them at all. So I always set my air conditioners up either side of bare floor, so it goes right the way down to the map floor, and that way you make sure that you don't lose any babies in the mesh when they hatch. Alright, let's I think we might need a couple more air conditioners, and then we'll place the other side, and I'll bring you back when that's done. I guess the only other thing worth mentioning is I have placed the electrical power point above where the air conditioners are, so you can see the cables that go upwards as I place them, like that, and they go all the way up to the power point above, and again it's just more of an aesthetic thing than anything, to be honest. So that's one side. We need a couple more air conditioners that we need to craft so that we can get it perfectly symmetrical. So let's knock those out and place the other side. Beautiful, like a piece of art. Okay, so with our egg hatchery ready to function, I had previously tamed a male RG, you will remember. Well, in between videos I've also tamed a female, and we've got ourselves an egg. So we can chuck this egg down here and get it cooking, ready to hatch, get it incubating. So let's have a look. That says 1 hour 28. We're on 2 times on the weekend at the moment, so normally that egg would take twice as long on 1 times on officials. So that's going to take a while. Let's come back when it looks like it's closer to hatching. This gives me a little bit of time to talk about the true OG method of egg hatching, and that is using standing torches or campfires. You can use campfires as well. So if you don't have electricity yet and you want to hatch an egg, build yourself a bit of a semicircle of standing torches, as close to each other as you can get them, because they do have like a build radius thing. I think one more should do it. Okay, and then fill those all up with spark powder, which will only going to put just going to put 25 of each in each one, and we'll go around and do those. Alright, light up the torches. Nice. Circle of fire, and now we can throw the egg in the middle there. Now let's chuck our Rex egg right in the middle, and let's have a look. Okay, not too hot. Okay, so you can see up in the top left I've got the ambient temperatures, 20 degrees centigrade. So the need for torches fluctuates depending on what the ambient temperature is. Still too hot. Okay, so what you can do is you can go around then and just turn off the torches one by one. There we go. So you can see this one's only got just under 8 minutes left. I've done that so that we can hatch it fairly quickly. So let's come back when it's a little bit closer. Alright, here we are, and the egg is too hot. So you can see what I said about the ambient temperature. It's gone up to 23 degrees. So we haven't changed the number of torches we've got lit. We've still got 5 lit. But now the egg is too hot. So let's turn one off, and you can see the egg health is dropping because of the result. It's still too hot. Okay, down to 4 torches, so let's take it down to 3 lit torches. Try not to pick the egg up. Yeah, so it's gone to 24 degrees ambient now, but that's fine. Yep, brilliant. We've got 1 minute 30 left. And that is how you hatch Rex eggs using standing torches. Let's get ourselves set up with some cryopods. So I mentioned before I was probably going to, well, what I've decided to do is I'm going to use cryopods for storing babies in between sort of videos when I'm sleeping or working. The reason being that once you start a baby, so once you sort of hatch the egg, Without cryopods, you're locked in for this sort of 8-hour imprint cycle, constant feeding and things like that. I work full time, and so if I was to do that, I wouldn't get any 100% imprints. So for that reason, I'm going to use cryopods to store the babies and to help me along a little bit. In all truth, I really believe that cryopods will be in the base game of Ark Ascended anyway, and I've got a video on that coming out, so feel free to check that out if you're looking for my opinion. But anyway, we're going to grab the gear that we need, and we'll head off to probably head off to the green obelisk and go and craft ourselves a couple of cryopods. Alright, let's head off. Oh, actually we've got a green drop over there, so you can craft cryopods in supply drops as well. Maybe this will be quicker, we'll just craft ourselves our cryopods in this. And no, we'll go to green ob. Okay. Pretty standard Ark. As soon as you find a quicker way of doing something, the game says, no, I don't think so. Alright, here we are at green ob. Let's just land down next to the terminal. Alright, so we've brought all the gear that we need to craft cryopods, and because we've learnt the engram, it should now appear in the terminal, which it does. Good. You can only craft these one at a time, so even though if you put material in for multiples, you can't just sort of hit the make all button. You have to do them one at a time. And on official, particularly when Ark Ascended drops and no one's got replicators, be very careful that someone doesn't swing in and swipe all your materials while you're doing this, because anyone can access the obelisks and drops. Alright, let's head back to base. So that's the next day. We're back at base. We've got a mysterious door has appeared, and we have our egg. Now hang on, now, this is a different egg. There's no way of telling that, but I can tell you that because I know that I left the other one in too long and it hatched and the baby died while I was busy doing other stuff. Doing this, working on this door. And what's behind the door? Well, we'll save that. But my main point here is whenever you put an egg down for incubation, as I said, it will only hatch. It will hatch as soon as it's finished. You should set yourself a timer. Right, had a bit of a jig around in the base too, so replaced all our smithy. And then behind the door we have our industrial forge. Alright, nice. So now we can cook up some metal. Serious. We can also now access the forge from inside the base, and we can access it from outside. So when we go and do a metal run with an Anki, we can literally fly back with the Anki on the RG and drop it down here next to the forge and just load the raw metal into it, and then from the inside we can unload the ingots and whack them straight in the smithy. Works pretty well. I've done it a few times on previous playthroughs, so I like having access to it from both the inside and the outside. And here we are, first RG about to hatch. Well, let's ignore the baby killing and assume this is the first. A little bit of lag. If you throw the eggs down and they've been down for a while, the lag will affect the incubating timer. You can fix it by picking it up and then throwing it back down again. That'll show an accurate reflection of how long the egg will take to hatch. There we go. Okay, a little longer than planned. Alright, we're going to imprint on the baby. Nice, let's have a look. Alright. Yeah, not too bad. I'll have to compare that to the parent stats actually. And have a look and see which stats we got from which parent. But in the meantime, should be on follow, yep. And let's lead this baby out. into the main room if we can. She should be able to hop up the step. Okay. No, maybe not. Usually pretty good at getting out of. I think it's still on its way. Oh gee, I suppose it's only got little legs. Just a bit slower than I'd hoped. Alright, so let's get this guy out and we can feed, chuck some meat in its inventory and get it going. Oh, come on, no rush fella. Okay, let's have a look at your stats and let's compare that to the parents. Now, the father had the higher stats across the board, and it seems like we've got the lower health stat from the mother. We did get the good stamina from the father, and we got the lower weight stat from the mother. The melee was were both the same, so we obviously picked up a melee. You'll notice that the melee damage number on the baby is actually a little bit higher. Sometimes that happens. Don't know what causes it, but you'll get sort of like a 1% variance sometimes with stats from both parents. Okay, not the best, but not too bad. It'll be good when it's imprinted. Okay, so it's been a little while, 8 hours in fact. So we're now here ready for our first imprint, and so we're at 14.7% maturation on 1 times. We should get a 17% imprint out of this. Let's see what we got. Cuddle, yay, the king of imprints. Alright, yep, there we go, 17%. Timer's reset for another 8 hours. So let's have a look at the stat change after the imprint. Okay, let's compare that to the pre-imprint. So you can see 3,139 to 3,243 on health. The melee has not changed, and the weight has not changed. So sometimes when you do an imprint, the stats don't update immediately, and you have to go out of render and fly back to show them. So for example, the melee has actually increased to 330%. I didn't notice it didn't do this while I was recording the video. Okay, so there we go. We got our hatchery set up. We hatched our first egg and started raising our first baby, and now we're ready to breed and raise dinosaurs when we've got some tamed pairs. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give us a like, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll catch you in the next video. I'm Llama, and I'm out of here.